All right, what's up, guys? Happy Monday. Chuck and Nick here. I had a few days off. Was out of town for the weekend, so I'm ready to get back into the DFS streets. Nick, how we doing?
Good man, good. Pretty decent weekend. I know we had a few screenshots in Discord. Some frustration, I think, yesterday when Sengun got hurt. Um,
Very fair.
Sucks, man. And yeah, he's probably going to be out for the year. Look terrible. So we'll see. But yeah, I'm looking forward to getting to some NBA because as a Giants fan, we lost Barkley to the Eagles today, and as a Yankees fan, Garrett Cole's getting an MRI. So I need some NBA in my life right now. All the other sports have not been good to me today.
Your Giants won today. Don't worry, man. Daniel Jones is coming back strong. Devin
Well, we got
Singletary is better than Saquon.
Singletary.
You're good, man. You're good.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
I mean, I'm excited for the cap space. I wondered if I could buy a cap space jersey to rock instead of Saquon, but
Oh, that'd be a
yeah,
fun
man.
one.
Yeah, but a tough day today all around. But we got NBA.
Well, speaking of tough days, I have it sorted by DraftKings ownership right now. We got a basketball player named Javon Freeman Liberty. He's been playing big minutes. Quickly's out tonight, so that's the reason why he's the chalk, super cheap. We had some problems with FanDuel. I thought we fixed it, though. Let me try
They
to
just
refresh.
fixed it. If you refresh, it should be good.
Okay. Okay, so we're good now. Yeah, Freeman Liberty's ownership went up. Karis LeVert passed Sam Hauser and Trace Jackson Davis, which I kind of get. I like Karis tonight. Sam Hauser, I don't know. Nick, how do you feel about Sam Hauser, Trace Jackson Davis, and Freeman Liberty, the chalk cheap pieces?
Yeah, so Freeman Liberty is weird. I mean, when I initially saw it, I was like, this is gross. But then I realized quickly played last game, played 44 minutes. Nurse runs tight rotations. I mean, or not Nurse. But Toronto's still running pretty tight rotations. They don't have much depth at guard. Um, so yeah, I think I'm going to get there, but we've never seen him play more than 20 minutes, so I'm a little bit hesitant. But as long as he starts, I think he's fine. He's also that kind of hybrid player. If this game were to get out of hand, they're going to Denver, a terrible matchup. But he's the type of player you think would probably play into the fourth quarter regardless. So I don't mind that. Hauser chalk though. I mean, whenever he's starting and he's chalk, I try to get away from it. Honestly, I mean his usage goes way down when he's on the floor with Tatum and Brown, but he is dirt cheap. And it is a great matchup, so I do get it, but I don't know. I'd rather eat the Freeman Liberty chalk than the Sam Hauser chalk, as gross as that sounds.
Oh, I agree. And I got a pivot to Freeman Liberty that I'll bring up now. Super low owned. Not saying necessarily get away from Freeman Liberty. You can definitely play these two in the same lineup, but I'm very interested in Peyton Pritchard.
Mm.
And let's talk about the top of the Celtics team because Tatum, Brown, and Derek White are all pulling some decent ownership. How do you feel about these top guys in an 11-point spread, 219.5 total against probably the worst team in the NBA?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. When I first thought about it, I was like, okay, the Celtics are just going to run them out of the gym. Initially, they were talking about resting maybe Tatum or Brown here. They did all get ruled in. So there's also still no Porzingis, which I think matters. And the Blazers are getting Ayton and Grant back. I think they came back last game. Scoot's back on the bench as well. So they're a little bit healthier. Celtics had to travel across the country, which obviously isn't ideal. Still hate the spot, though. Like, I'm very afraid of the blowout here, even though the spread isn't completely out of hand. I think White is going to see the biggest boost, obviously, with Drew out. Brown looks good at his price. Tatum's fine at his price. I mean, Horford's had some good games with KP out. He's kind of boomer bust in this role, though. They're all good plays on paper, but I would be lying if I said I wasn't afraid of the blowout here. And it doesn't make it easier that it's the last game on the slate. So, like, if you don't play a bunch of this game, you're going to be sitting on leaderboard just waiting for it to end into the night, which is never fun. Not that that's why you should include this game or not, but I mean, it's a great matchup. There are some boosts we're seeing for some of these starters. And you bring up Pritchard. I actually like him more than Hauser, certainly, at the
Yep.
respective ownerships. I mean, we've also seen Pritchard, too, in games that blow out. He gets the run there regardless. So he's another one of these hybrid players who's already in the rotation. If the game does get out of hand, he should be safe. I also like that he's going to be running the second unit, not sharing the floor as much with Brown Tatum as Hauser will be. So I like Pritchard, maybe my favorite Celtic here, which is a super hot take. Derek
Yep.
White on DK, very logical at 6,600 though. And then honestly, if we get word that Scoot's still limited, I like Delano Banton from this game. I know we're talking about the Celtics here, but if I need a piece of that late game, like I'm trying to go low owned, not high owned.
Yeah, yeah, no, I agree. I love that Banton call. So his price is coming up. There is some
Mhm.
sticker shock, but I think his ownership is still a little bit low. And I know the other players are back, but it's just like his usage is up. He's handling. If you watch the games, he's handling the ball more, which is just
Right.
gigantic. Because Anthony Simons is not a good point guard. Great
Yeah.
basketball player, great shooter, but he is not a playmaker.
Totally agree.
And I'm not necessarily saying Banton is either, but it seems like they're relegating those duties to him, and Anthony Simon just go out and get buckets, right?
Exactly. Yeah, Simons is a two. I mean, he's not a true point guard, even though they line him up there. But yeah, man, I was saying before the show, this is one of those rare slates where I almost wish they just cut off that late game,
Yep.
but it's on both sites, is what it is. We got to deal with it today.
I will say so. Like before I saw the spread, I would have guessed that because the thesis of the Peyton Pritchard play is that he gets the whole fourth quarter in a blowout, right? But then I see the spread, and it's only an 11-point spread, and this has happened before where I see a spread that just looks so wrong, like Clippers versus Memphis or something, and it was close, and it ended up being close. Like Vegas is good, so if
Yeah,
Vegas has this as an 11-point spread, we can't just automatically assume it's going to be a blowout. Like we say, don't play for blowouts. I'm going to do that a little bit with Peyton Pritchard today. I think he could still get there in regular time, but
yeah,
the whole thesis of the play is getting the fourth quarter blowout run for Peyton Pritchard. So, uh,
right.
yeah, we'll see. We'll see how that stacks up. The low total, it's not great, but then back to Boston, like we don't mind playing guys from the team doing the blowing out because
hmm
if Boston blows out Portland, like yeah, they have a lot of players that could just have mid games, but still like getting to these Boston guys.
Yeah, and just to your point on the spreads, I mean, I think we as DFS players don't always look at the travel schedules and things like that. Vegas does though; like they're on top of that stuff. They know when these flights are coming in and out. They know how much rest these guys have, and that's why we see these spreads sometimes that surprise us. But then they usually do ring pretty close to true. Like Vegas makes their money being accurate as possible. Like they're not really fooling people on NBA lines day to day. So yeah, I mean, this is a tighter game than what we're seeing in Denver. I saw someone bring that up in chat, and honestly, like I said, when a team has to travel east to west coast, usually not a great thing. And I believe it's front end of a back to back too. I think they have a game tomorrow, so there are a few reasons this is probably closer than one might expect.
Let's take a look at Toronto. You mentioned Denver versus Toronto. We got Emma in the chat, 16.5-point spread with a 231 total, so a little bit better. But this is Toronto's whole team tonight. I mean, they do have RJ Barrett. They do have Kelly Olynyk, I guess. But it's like, how worried should we be about Javon Freeman Liberty? And I'm gonna throw Grady Dick in there too because I think Grady Dick's a good play. How worried are we about these guys in a blowout?
Yeah, so I had this team the other night. I've been playing a little more on DK, or I think it was on DK. And Grady Dick gets announced as starter. RJ Barrett's a late scratch. I'm like, oh man, I am in such a great spot now. I'm going to climb these leaderboards. He started, played almost 40 minutes, only scored like 17 DK points. He is about as scoring dependent as a player can get right now. So he gives me more pause. You're also getting Freeman Liberty for 1K cheaper. And I think both these guys would play into the fourth quarter in a blowout just because they are so thin. Like they don't need to go get Garrett Temple minutes or anything like that. But yeah, I feel better about Freeman Liberty at his price. Just knowing that Grady Dick's kind of inconsistent as a shooter, this is a terrible matchup for him, and it's not a great matchup for Freeman Liberty either. But this isn't a big minutes boost for Dick. It is for Freeman Liberty. We haven't seen him go over 20. We're projecting him in the high 20s. Grady's not going to play more than the 39 he played last game, where he really didn't score all that well. So I think Dick's fine as like a GPP play, but I'm definitely more concerned about him than Freeman Liberty, even though Freeman Liberty is kind of an unknown and also a mouthful, obviously, as we talk about this guy.
Yeah, it's I don't know. It's just kind of weird with Grady Dick, like how much there because whatever sample we look up, it's not going to be enough minutes to say, well, quickly's off the court, Grady Dick's usage goes up by this much. I just don't know if we have enough minutes played to really make a conclusive decision based on that. But I mean, I think Grady Dick's fine at his price. If his ownership comes up, I'm not going to be as interested. I'd prefer to get to like Peyton Pritchard, which seems insane, but or Delano Banton, pay a little bit more for him. What
Mhm.
about Kelly Olynyk? I think he was pulling a little bit of ownership too.
Yeah, I mean, he's fine. Probably not a guy who gets run into a blowout if you are projecting this game to get out of hand. Not a good defender. Jokic is probably going to do whatever he wants here. But at the same time, I mean, I don't know. He's been seeing a ton of usage with so many guys out for Toronto. I think he's okay, but I do think he's over owned. So I'd probably look to get different if I can there.
Yeah, FanDuel ownership 28% for 6,800 Kelly O. It's kind of like I don't necessarily think it's super incorrect, but just what are you expecting to happen, right? Like
Right. You need like 40 plus for that to look good.
yeah. And if he puts up 40, hey, fantastic day, GG's, but it's going to be a tough one. So let's go ahead and dive into guards. So we are talking about Freeman Liberty is the chalk guard. The other chalk guard is Karis LeVert. What are we doing with him?
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, Levert's been popular. Hasn't really been showing us that ceiling that we want out of him. But at the same time, I mean, definitely a logical play. It's just tricky because he's kind of priced up to a point now where you need more out of him than he's probably going to give you. But at the same time, he feels like one of the safer plays in his price range. So I think he's a good play. I think in tournaments, as gross as it sounds, I'd be comfortable pivoting to a lot of Okoro here, though. I mean, he's been producing at a similar level in terms of fantasy points per minute. I don't think anyone's really going to be rushing to make that pivot. But for me personally, I mean, a little bit of a discount can go a long way on a slate like this where we don't have a ton of great value. I like Okoro. I think in cash games, low risk contests you're playing. I mean, I like Levert. I think in cash games, low risk contests you're playing him. But Okoro, at a fraction of the ownership, and he's cheaper, has been producing similarly, playing the same minutes. I just think it's a very logical leverage point if you want to make it.
I'm gonna give you another leverage point, and this one is super risky. Sam Merrill super failed his chalk yesterday. Came in like 40% on both sites. Did a little bit of checking up on the weekend, but 0% today. 4,400 and 4,100. Do you think this is worth taking a couple shots?
Yeah, you can take a couple shots, but he's kind of similar to Grady Dick, if not a little bit worse, because he's coming off the bench. Like guys like this need their threes to fall. When they do, you feel like a genius because they're scoring 30 plus fantasy points. When they don't, their floor is lower than the average player. So yeah, I don't mind mixing him in at low ownership, especially if he's not going to be popular. Just know what you're getting yourself into. It's a very wide range of outcomes, but that's what we want in high risk contests. We want to chase those ceiling games. But yeah, just don't have them kind of determine your whole night if you're only playing a lineup or two.
Yeah, I registered 40. It looks like there was some overlay in this $4 150 max though. They still need 30,000 entries almost with an hour left. So I mean, if 200 people come and max it, then that'll fill it. But I don't think 200 people are still out there to max this. But yeah, some overlay here. So I threw in 40. I might throw in another 20, but I feel like I might force in like 6% Sam Merrill, something like that. I want him in my
Yeah.
player pool just in case.
Oh yeah, we've seen him spike the upside.
Let's see who else we got here. So sorting by ownership, I mean, is Sam Hauser a shooting guard? All right, Sam Hauser is a shooting guard, I guess. Also super chalk. We talked about him, Grady Dick, Micic, Derek White. Anything there?
I mean, I'm a fan of Micic, the player. This is probably my favorite game on the slate. I don't love when the
Nice.
first game on the board is my favorite, but it's rare we get a matchup that favors these two terrible teams. And they're both a little bit thin right now. Detroit getting healthier, but I think Thompson's questionable last I checked. But yeah, love Cunningham. He's been playing outstanding.
Yep.
Really like to run there as well. But Micic on the other side, obviously LaMelo Ball is going to be out for a while, but still no Cody Martin or Trey Mann either. So
Mm-hmm.
he's been doing a ton of ball handling, and he's a little bit inconsistent for where he's priced. But I do think he's probably a little bit lower owned than he should be compared to some of the other guards we have available. So I'll probably get there, honestly. And Miller looks good. I mean, this whole starting lineup for Charlotte and Davis Bertans off the bench, like, I love so much here. Fontecchio off the bench for the Pistons, like, there's just so much to like in this game because these are two terrible defenses. So like I'm more likely to play guys that I know are capable of ceilings against terrible defenses, and we're getting that on both sides of the ball in this one.
I like it. Yeah, it seems like his minutes floor is pretty safe. They don't have another reliable ball handler with Trey Mann out today too. So
Mm-hmm.
and then I should have mentioned this at the beginning, but Richardson, Derek White, Drew Holiday is out. Quickly and Gary Trent are both out, and then Max Strus is still out for Cleveland, and
Yeah.
Dean Wade is out personal, just so you guys know too. Let's go ahead and let's sort by OF index. Of course, Luca with like a 50% higher OF index than the guy in second place. So it was weird. The other night we had a day where Luca, he was a little bit chalky. I think he was probably like 20%. He put up like 70 something, but it was that day where everyone went off. So he just got pushed out of the winning lineup. Like it's a slate by slate basis, but how much should we like Luca tonight? We have all the value. We can get to him.
He's my favorite play on the slate.
Okay.
And it's not really a hot take, I don't think, but he's triple doubled, I think, in like 5 or 6 straight games. This is a good matchup. The Bulls defense isn't all that, I don't know, daunting for lack of a better word. This has the highest total on the entire slate with 232. And yeah, he's just been ridiculous. Since the All Star break, there's one game that he didn't go over 70 DK points. One where he didn't go over 70, which is absolutely insane to me. Kyrie's been back. I think with this new front court, it's kind of opened things up for him a little bit more, knowing that Washington and Gafford are actually half decent on offense. They're also giving Tim Hardaway Jr. less minutes because he hasn't been really good, but at the same time, they're staggering Kyrie with him more. So that ups Luka's usage. Not that you need to up it for any reason, but he's been tremendous. I mean, he checks all the boxes for me. I mean, and yeah, sub 20% on both sites. Like you said, there's enough value to go around tonight. Obviously, Joker looks fine here, but he's definitely a blowout risk. I mean, we could say the same for Tatum. Wemby's coming off an injury. Luke is on a tier of his own, in my opinion. And I'm kind of baffled by the ownership. I will say, and I'm sure you're going to make this point as well, everyone across the industry has been kind of under projecting where he's going to be owned because it's rare we have guys that are this expensive. And for whatever reason, the field just, I mean, they're kind of doubling what the projections have been saying almost. Like I expect he'll be around 30% on both sides, maybe even higher. But for me, I want to get even higher than that if I can. My favorite play on the board tonight, Jokic 0.4 behind him in terms of OF index. No one else is really close, but lower owned than Joker and in a much better game environment, in my opinion. So love, love, love Luka here. I can't take much credit if and when he goes off, but I am kind of surprised he's not more popular.
Yeah, no, I agree. I have around 30% in my pre-stream build right now, which, as you said, like I'm expecting that to be around the field, and so maybe I'll try and jack that up. I think I might do some crazy stuff today. I really want to get away from the Celtics now that I'm like looking at my exposures, and you kind of hype me up on Luka a little bit more. What about some of these mid-range guards? You mentioned you like Cade. I like Cade a lot tonight, but we also have Jamal Murray, Kyrie, Devin Booker, and throw Jalen Brown in there. Anthony Simons too. I mean, any interest in these guys?
Yeah, I don't mind Jalen Brown. He's a little bit lower owned than some of the other Celtics there, but he's been dominating as far as the offense goes. They're actually outplaying Tatum a lot of the time, and you're getting him at a discount. So I do like him. A little bit hesitant to go to Booker against Cleveland coming off an injury. Don't know that I'll get there. The one other guy I will shout out though is Kobe White, opposite of Luca. I wish he had shooting guard eligibility.
Mm.
It would be much easier to build with him tonight, but I like what he's been doing. A little bit too cheap. Dallas's defense has been mostly terrible. So yeah, Kobe White, as far as like an 8K guy goes, I like a lot here. But otherwise, I'm mostly paying up for Luca or going all the way down for the value.
I like it. So we mentioned, so there are a couple mid-range plays, but I kind of like that. Like we have super cheap value and we have Luca, so we don't have
Yeah.
to get super cute at the guard spot. But there are some mid-range guys we're interested. We mentioned Levert, we mentioned Micic, but I also want to bring up Devin Vassell, and then Emma in the chat mentioned Jaden Ivey has been on kind of a tear recently. What do you think about
Yeah.
these guys?
Yeah, I mean, Ivy and Vassell definitely stand out to me. And again, these guys have the shooting guard eligibility we're after because Luca is point guard only. I believe Freeman Liberty has shooting guard eligibility on DK, but not on FanDuel, which makes things a little bit tough. But yeah, absolutely love Ivy. Really like Vassell. They're both shooting guard eligible. There was one other one you said. I'm trying to remember who it was. I mean, Levert, sure, definitely like him. Maybe a little bit overowned. Brandon Miller, it's been a little bit boomer bust. Definitely has upside here against Detroit, though. But yeah, I mean, shooting guard, there's more plays I like than point guard again, and it's mostly just because of lineup construction, like you said. I'm either getting up to Luca, going way down for the value, but shooting guard is absolutely loaded, and some of these point guards that do have dual eligibility.
And then I wanted to take a little bit of a closer look at the Warriors rotation because
Mm.
Steph Curry's out and they're a disaster. Kevon Looney broke his Iron Man streak on a did not play coach's decision, man. That pisses me off. Like, this guy's never missed a game, and then Steve Kerr just, oh, Steph Curry's out. We can't play Kevon. Trey Jackson Davis started. He looked great. I mean, he's other
Yeah.
chalk tonight. We'll get there when we get to big man. But assuming that, I mean, Chris Paul's definitely starting tonight. Another kind of mid-range play. His price is up a little bit. Ownership is good. I mean, Clay 3% owned. It's funny. I was noticing Javon Freeman Liberty has a higher OF index than Clay Thompson today, which is just bizarre. But I mean, Pods is probably coming off the bench if they run the same lineup. What do you think about these guys?
Yeah, it's tricky. I mean, Paul, I kind of feel similar about Levert. Like, he's definitely a good and logical play, but both sides did a good job pricing him up. So, like,
Yeah.
I don't know that he's really going to be able to win you a tournament here. I mean, Pods kind of feels similarly. It's rare we've seen him spike a very high ceiling. I like him at his price. Don't love him. Again, it's just like these guys aren't mispriced. Like I mean, most of the time you kind of need to find those pieces if you are going to really separate yourself. So these are all fine plays. Like I don't mind mixing them in. Even Moody, like he's okay, but again, they're priced up, so it's just there's not much meat on the bone in terms of like smashing through where they're valued. Um, Credit to both sites though for kind of pricing things a little bit better this year than they have maybe in years past.
Yeah, I mostly agree. It's like Chris Paul. I think Chris Paul's a fine play, but it's just the other plays around him
Yeah,
seem like stronger plays. And then with Klay Thompson, I feel like he's such a good game theory play. I believe he started the second half last game after not starting the game. Same team. I mean, it's the same exact matchup. It's 4.5 point spread tonight, but he only played 25 minutes. He did get there in those 35 minutes. His price is up a little bit. If he puts up 34 at 65 with the risk we're taking tonight, I don't think that's worth it. But
yeah,
yeah, probably not going to end up getting here tonight, even though thinking
yeah.
about it.
And like Clay honestly might have the highest ceiling of those guards, even
Oh,
coming off
definitely.
the bench.
Yeah.
So Clay would probably be the one I'd mix in.
Game theory.
Mhm.
um, sort by, and then DeRozan or Brown tonight. Assuming DeRozan is only a small forward or maybe power forward also, and it's Jalen Brown. Um, I kind of lean towards DeRozan, but we'll take a look at DeRozan when we get to forwards. What do you think?
Yeah, I kind of lean toward DeRozan as well, just because I do think this game's competitive and it's the higher total. It is a great matchup. I mean, Brown's good. Keep an eye on the ownership, but DeRozan's been consistently over 40 fantasy points, which is kind of what you need when you're in that price range.
Sorting by DK value, obviously it's Freeman Liberty, Sam Hauser, Gross, Alex Caruso, Io DeSumo down here. So I mean Caruso, not that DeSumo is pulling ownership. I mean Caruso's actually higher ownership, but I don't know, decent thought. And then Jamal Murray, Ban, Micic, Luca. We'd love to see that. Derek White, Jaden Ivey, Trey Jones. I mean, anything else in the value we haven't mentioned yet that you think we should be looking at?
Yeah, I mean, we talked about Banton early. I will get to some Mitchich. Other than that, probably not, though. Like I said, I'm pretty comfortable tightening my guard pool tonight. Getting a little bit different in shooting guard, like we said, but these guys we're talking about now, mostly point guard only.
So Jamal Murray, second in OF index at a pretty good price, and he's fourth in overall DK value. I mean, are we kind of overlooking him? I don't think either of us mentioned him yet.
Yeah, I mean, if this game does stay even a little bit close, or if Denver's the team doing the blowing out, he could probably get there in three quarters. He's gone over 50 fantasy points in three of his last four. Very soft matchup, obviously, against Freeman, Liberty, and friends for Toronto. So he could absolutely crush here. Um, but yeah, it's just like I said. I mean, if I'm paying up, I'm mostly getting to Luca. But if Luca was more popular, I'd probably have taken a longer look at Murray. But he's been playing outstanding. I mean, if you're landing on him, I definitely wouldn't talk anyone off of playing.
Dude, this is a guy I have trouble getting to him every single day. I don't know,
Yeah,
something about him, his face.
yeah,
Fanduel value, basically the same thing. I don't think anything is really different here. Right, the pricing is close enough. Everything looks pretty similar.
yeah. Excuse me. Yeah, things are pretty similar between the two sites tonight. I didn't see anything that was really standing out as egregious. So yeah, everything we've said so far kind of applies to both sites for the most part.
And KT in the chat, how does a DK value column work? So basically, the value columns are how strong are these guys on a points per dollar basis. And we've gotten questions before, like what's a good DK value? What's a good FD value? And it's always relative to the slate that day. Like today, Freeman Liberty, 16.7 DK value. This is good. We see like me and Nick talk about this, where if they're on the page where you don't have to scroll down, they're probably a good play.
Yeah, exactly.
Miles Bridges' homecoming game, is it? Let's go ahead to forwards.
Um, I guess so. I mean, I don't know much about
Is he from
where
Detroit?
Bridges is from. I mean, it wouldn't shock me.
Seems
I mean,
like
I
a
already
Detroit
like
player.
Bridges here. I mean, if you need another reason to like him, sure. I mean, looks pretty good. Not going to be too popular on either side because he is priced up. I think more people are going to go to Miller. So I like Bridges. Again, I really just love this game between Charlotte and Detroit. You got two bad teams that have actually been scoring pretty well. Just terrible defenses there. So Bridges, one of the best scorers. Definitely you have to pay a premium for him, but I wouldn't argue with playing him coming off a few really good games.
Yeah, 18% on FanDuel seems fine, and then the 6% on DraftKings, it just like it's gonna fail a lot of the time, but when it does work out, I mean, you're getting a guy who has shown a I don't want to say consistent ceiling, but not an inconsistent ceiling at 6% ownership on the slate where it seems like the ownership might be a little bit more concentrated than it should be. Might be a
Yeah.
pretty good play.
Yeah, other than that Orlando game where I think they got blown out, he played 39 plus minutes in 4 of his last 5. So that's something we always love. I mean, minutes are king in DFS, and it's Detroit. So not only is it a homecoming game, but you're playing one of the worst defenses in the league. So I love Bridges here. Yeah, really solid play in that mid range.
And then just because this is so interesting, Bertans and Grant Williams on FanDuel, they're essentially the same price. DraftKings, Grant's a little bit more expensive, but 30% ownership for Grant Williams on FanDuel, 13 for Bertans. I mean, is this worth a pivot off of Grant Williams? Do you like Grant Williams?
I like to pivot. I played Bertans last night. He did really well. The price is up a bit on him, but he's a streaky shooter and he's shooting the ball well. Grant Williams, a streaky shooter who's not shooting the ball well. So I don't know. I'll play the hot hand at lower ownership. I'm a little bit surprised that the field is so split that way. I like Bertans, definitely, even coming off the bench.
Yeah, I don't necessarily think like Bertans' ownership is too low. Maybe it's a little bit too low, but when you're comparing it to Grant Williams,
Compared, yeah.
it's for sure like the minutes difference. Is Grant Williams going to play 35? Has he been getting that many minutes? I thought he was a little bit less. Let me double check though.
Yeah, he has.
All right, yeah, 38, 38, 33, 40. All right, go Grant Williams, I guess. Let's get some threes for Bertans tonight.
Yeah.
We had a good question in here. What do we think about Freeman Liberty on FanDuel? I have him projected to a point where if I didn't put any restrictions, he'd be in 100% of my lineups. What about you?
Yeah, he's kind of tough to get away from. And like I said, we haven't seen him play more than 20 minutes, but he has been around a fantasy point per minute player. We're projecting him, around like 27? I mean, he probably gets,
yeah,
25 to 30 fantasy points. I mean, even if that game blows out, he's probably on the floor. Yeah, one of the better pieces of value tonight. I like him. It feels gross to say, but I do.
I feel like he doesn't even have to put up 25. Like if he's in just the 20 range and you get the rest of your lineup pretty well, like
yeah, if he gets you to Luka,
yeah, he's going to be so highly owned. I feel like unless he completely bombs, he's probably or two other point guards go off for like 60 or something like that, just pushing him out. I feel like he's in the winning lineup a pretty high percentage of the time, even given his like insane ownership tonight.
Yeah, I like it.
Niang tonight. I love Niang. Yeah, I'm pretty interested in him. The ownership is still low. The price is not great, but his usage has been good. He's been shooting well, which we should expect that to regress, but I think he's fine.
Yeah, he's fine at his price. I mean, Dean Wade's out too for personal reasons, which definitely helps. So, yeah, he's going to start here probably at the 4. And yeah, I mean, like you said, he's been shooting well. So I definitely like Yang here. I do prefer him over Grant Williams, I will say.
Did you watch the them play the Nets yesterday? Did you watch that game?
Some of it, yeah.
Did the Cleveland give up in the fourth quarter? Is that why they lost minutes?
Yes.
Okay.
That's pulled away.
Okay, nice. So yeah, makes me like Niang even more. Like if he lost a few minutes because of blowout, I mean, if he hits 30 minutes at this price, I still think it's okay.
Right. Yeah, that was the front end of a back-to-back. Cam Thomas has been awesome since he's been back from injury. Nice. They completely went off, and yeah, I think Cleveland was like, we'll get them tomorrow. We got to host Phoenix, so.
We got Smitty in the chat. He was a stud in summer league. Is this Freeman Liberty? I feel like I remember him winning me some tickets in the.
I think that's who he's talking about. Yep.
Yeah. So, all right, let's take a look at the rest. So, let's start by OF index. Jason Tatum, Kevin Durant, DeMar DeRozan, Miles Bridges, Jaylen Brown. Those are the guys with a double-digit OF index. Maybe we've talked about a couple of them already, but what do you got?
I mean, Tatum's tricky because he's probably over-owned, but at that price, he has massive upside. So, I don't know. If you're landing on some Tatum, I don't hate it. I'd probably try to match the field, not get too aggressive over or under. Durant with Booker back, I think he's low owned for a reason. And yeah, it's not a good matchup against the Cavs, so he's okay. I will say, whoever brought up Bridges, I think of this top group, he's probably my favorite, just knowing that game's likely to be competitive. Massive upside, playing 39 plus minutes in competitive games is just ridiculous for him. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of weird. I usually don't like DeRozan much, and this definitely feels like a good spot for Vooch. But more than usual, I find myself maybe landing on Vooch and DeRozan in the same lineup tonight. Not something I normally love to do, but I'm playing a ton of Luka, so it kind of makes sense in terms of correlation. And I do like the matchup for the two of them. So I don't know. Boston, one of these guys is going to crush tonight. I just don't know which it's going to be. So if you want to kind of roll the dice on Brown or Tatum, I think you're probably doing something smart. But at the same time, who's to say which of the two is going to take the back seat? I'm not sure. I'd rather just go to DeRozan, where I'm pretty sure we're going to see the usage that we need out of him.
Nice. And then a couple of the next group of mid-range guys: Jonathan Kuminga, R.J. Barrett, Karras, MPJ, Draymond, and I'll throw Kelly O and Jeremy Grant in there. Talked about a couple of these guys, but I mean, does anything stand out?
Honestly, you're reading through that group, and I'm in my head like, no, 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 no. I mean, Kuminga might be the one I like best, but he's priced now around 7K. Like,
Yeah.
not a ton of meat on the bone there for him either. So if I'm choosing from that group, and you're not including Jaylen Brown, I would like Brown more than the rest of those guys. But yeah, Levert's fine where he's owned, just hasn't been spiking the ceiling. They're all priced up. That's the issue. But yeah, Levert probably the safest of that group. Kaminga probably my favorite for tournaments, but I'd be lying if I said I'm excited to get to any of those guys.
If I told you I was playing an obscene amount of Kelly Olynyk today, would you talk me off of him?
What's obscene? What's he owned? And then
we have him projected for 12% on DraftKings. I have 50.
That's a little crazy. Because, like, dude, you could double or triple the field. Like, play 36 and cap it there. Cap him at 33, man. I mean, Jokic should eat him for lunch, you'd think. But
all right.
I mean,
I knocked him down.
But here's the thing: like, you could get over the fields, and you could triple the ownership of the field. That's why ownership projections are so important. Because sure, you love Kelly O tonight, and I don't knock you for that. But you don't need to 5x the field. Like, that's just a little bit too aggressive, in my opinion.
I like it. Nice. Yeah, I'm gonna bump him down a little
bit. Yeah, get over the field. Like, don't not play Kelly O, but don't 50%, dude.
Well, I bumped him down and I reran it, and with randomness, it gave me 53% this time. So I'm gonna have to go in there after the stream. But I do like. The point is, I like Kelly O more than the field. I'm not going to have 50. Nick talked me off the ledge. So
50 is crazy.
Is 4 Toronto guys too many in the $4 DK lottery?
I think so.
Yeah, which 4?
Yeah, I like Freeman Liberty. I don't mind mixing in Barrett, Grady Dick, Kelly O. Bruce Brown's back tonight. I don't know what we can expect out of him. But 4 feels like too many, in my opinion.
A guy I'm getting, so I'm trying to think which 4, because Freeman Liberty, okay, yeah, Grady Dick, sure. I have to imagine it's at least one of Kelly O or RJ Barrett, and then maybe like a Baji or Nora dart throw. I mean, any interest in the secondary Toronto guys like Baji, Nora, and I want to throw Jonte Porter's name out there too.
I mean, it's tricky because, like I said, we're getting Brown back tonight. I don't know how much run he's going to get here. I haven't dug into his health at all. So yeah, I mean, I'm hesitant. I know Eric's like the biggest Jordan Nora fan, as a Bucks fan ever. He's been good when he gets the minutes. It's just really tough to project these guys, and it becomes even more difficult tonight with Bruce Brown back in the rotation. And this is technically a revenge game for him. I mean, he won a ring with the Nuggets, so there is some love there. Maybe they're giving him the ring tonight. I don't know if Toronto's been there yet, but I don't know. I'm not really excited to get to any of these guys, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, it's like I was excited about Nora after he had one good game. I think it was this one. And then I've played him here and there, and he had one other good game, put up a monster fantasy score. Like, he's a dart throw, and that's it. His ownership is probably fine. McDaniels? Which McDaniels is this? Oh, on Toronto?
Jalen. Yeah. I mean, he's coming off a great game. I'm worried that Brown cuts into his upside. His price did come up. I don't know. As a last piece in, it's not insane, but I don't feel great about it.
Yeah, I mean, he played 25 minutes last game. They are a little more shorthanded tonight, but like, there's just no confidence in any kind of minutes floor. And even if he gets 20 minutes, he still has to score more than a fantasy point per minute, which he's not a fantasy point per minute guy. So I would probably try and not get there. But
4, yeah, that seems like a lot. And if you are, maybe like you're building around Jokic too, because that game probably has to stay close for that to work out.
Yeah, and Jamal Murray, pretty good price too.
Yeah, Murray too.
I'll get to the center questions in just a couple of minutes, but are there any other forwards we should talk about? I'll sort by that. I mean, Jackson Davis has a power forward eligibility on FanDuel.
Yeah, I don't mind it. He's definitely priced up to where I don't think you have to force it, but the forward eligibility does make him a little bit more appealing. A couple sneaky plays. I mean, I think Thompson's questionable for Detroit, but even if he's in, I mean, Fontecchio's had some huge games off the bench. Again, I like everything from that game. That's someone I'll definitely be considering. Otherwise, it's kind of tricky. I don't know. I'm looking through here. Nothing else really jumping off the board. I think we covered it pretty well. But yeah, Fontecchio is definitely something low owned I'll be mixing in. Same with Bertans. Those two off the bench in that early game, I think they're probably going to come in a little bit lower owned than maybe they should be.
Nice. And you did mention Al Horford. I just want to bring him up again because he's showing up really high in DK value, projected for 31 minutes. I kind of feel like this is a lie, but what about you?
Yeah, I mean, Porzingis is out. He scored 30 DK points last game. I think he had like 24 of those in the first half. So he can get there even if this game were to get out of hand. I don't mind it. I like that he has forward eligibility. At the same time, I don't think I'm like rushing to get to him. Again, these Celtics are some of these guys are going to have a great game tonight. You're just trying to nail down which one it's going to be. It's not an easy thing to do. Horford, I don't know. We've seen him put up numbers even in just a half, so it's not the craziest play, but I don't know. I don't feel awesome about it because he's definitely the oldest guy in that team, and if this game even gets a little bit out of hand, he's probably the first guy off the floor.
Yeah, I mean, yes, exactly. In a blowout, he's for sure losing his minutes. And then it's kind of like, if I miss out on Al Horford tonight, what am I really risking? Like, is this gonna
Yeah,
like how is this ever gonna be a guy you need? He could be a helpful guy a lot of the time, sure, but like he's never gonna be the guy you have to have. Like he could put up 50 fantasy points one time, but
yeah, he did it once this year, I think, against Atlanta, where he had like 50, but it's so rare. I don't know.
yeah. And then Grady Dick at 4,400 on FanDuel specifically.
Yeah, is he still popular? I mean, earlier I thought he was super over owned.
Let's take a look.
But I mean, if the field's not getting there, I don't mind him. It's really an ownership thing with him. Yeah,
42 on FanDuel.
he's fine, but I don't know. That seems like overowned to me. Just knowing he's scoring dependent, knowing he's kind of inconsistent, really hasn't shown us much of a ceiling. Bruce Brown's coming back too. Not a good matchup. I mean, if he was low owned, I'd be like, yeah, mix him in, high ceiling. But at 40% or 20+% on DK, even I'm just not really excited about
Yeah, I mean, if you play him, you're locking in 30 minutes. He's not a bad play.
it. Right.
I would just rather take shots on some other lower owned values and just hope that one of them outscores him by like 15 or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then we have a couple of questions about centers. Vooch or Jay Allen. Are these two pretty high on your center list today?
Yeah, they're both really high on my center list. I mean, Allen without Mobley's been outstanding, and I always talk about Vooch against smaller front courts does really well. Probably my two favorites. If I'm choosing between the two, I slightly prefer Vooch just because of the matchup, and the total's a little bit higher, and I imagine he's a little bit lower owned. But those are definitely two of my favorites today, so I don't think you could go wrong either way.
Yeah, I like them both. I think in my earlier builds, I was leaning towards Jarrett Allen a little bit. But I mean, they're essentially a coin. I mean, the model does have Vooch a little bit better. But I mean, to me, they're essentially a coin flip basically today.
Yeah, for sure.
Jayhawk, love that Horford call, Chuck. The Horford fade call. I hope that's what you mean.
Yeah, I
Fade
mean,
Horford.
yeah, whenever Porzingis is out, he's worth mentioning. He could spike his ceiling, but yeah, I mean, I don't know,
I
not
mean,
the best.
I don't know. Would you rather play Horford than like Sam Hauser? I know they're different positions,
Yes,
but
yes.
okay.
I think I'd rather play Luke Cornett than Sam Hauser, though. Maybe
I'm
that's a
not.
hot take.
No, I don't hate it. I'm trying not to play Sam Hauser. It's really hard though because his price is so good.
Yeah, I don't like Hauser, and like I said, he just when he runs with the starters, he just doesn't do anything. He turns into just a cardio guy.
Hmm.
I'm trying to see what else is in that range in some of these other spots, but yeah, I mean Fontecchio, Bertans, like I'd be trying to find salary for them. I know they're more expensive, but much lower owned. Okoro, even Yang, I'd add in that group. All guys I like more than Hauser, a little bit more expensive, but you could probably find that extra salary to get different there. And Pritchard, honestly, is almost a direct pivot. Like he's going to be in the rotation if the game's close. We know he's going to play the whole fourth quarter if the game blows out. Obviously, different positions, but priced similarly. I mean, I'd rather play Pritchard too. I just maybe it kills me today. Hauser hits 10 threes, and I look like an idiot, but I'm willing to wear that. It's a marathon, not a sprint, and I just Hauser doesn't really fit with my game theory at all. So I'm just not
Nice,
going to get there much.
nice. What about just best overall centers on tonight's slate? We mentioned Vooch and Jay Allen. We have Jokic, Wemby, and Vooch as the only guys with double-digit OF indexes. I love Wemby tonight. This 3% is insane. He's going to come in higher than 3%, but I really like getting there tonight. What about you?
Yeah, I'm curious. Have we heard anything about minutes with him? I know they rested him for 2 games. Like, is he going to play his normal 30 plus?
Uh,
Um,
let's see.
If so, I like him a lot. I will say I'm just a little bit hesitant trusting Pop if he sat out 2 games and he's back tonight. Like I don't know. You'd have to think he's good to go. Like they're not really going to play with fire there. But
Yeah, I
um,
mean, the thing is usually if he's good to go, he's good to go. We just got an update that he will play, so maybe we'll get. We probably won't get it during the show, but whoever's in the Discord today should have that information for you guys. So instructions in the description below if you're not in there yet.
yeah. So yeah, I like Wemby if you can get there. Like I said, I'm prioritizing Luca, so it's kind of tough for me. The
Hmm.
two centers that were brought up earlier, Vooch and Allen, probably my favorites. I will say Jackson Davis on DK, one of your better pieces of value, assuming he is starting again here with Wemby in. Not the perfect matchup, but at the same time, 4,400 for what he's been doing lately, probably a little bit too cheap. I know he's not always getting the minutes that we're projecting him for, but he does a lot when he's on the floor, and I think in a spot like this, they're going to want him there. Maybe even more frequently than he has been lately. So really do like Jackson Davis. Played 23 against the Spurs last time, but that was with Wemby out. I don't know. I like the spot for him. I think he's good chalk. And then again, I'll keep going back to this first game. I think Durant and Richards both kind of risky because they're playing inconsistent minutes, excuse me. But at the same time, a little bit too cheap for their respective upsides, especially Richards sub 6K. A little bit surprised he's not getting more love because I do like him there in that spot as well.
Yeah, Jackson Davis, top of the model value. You mentioned he played 23 minutes. Like he probably has potential to play more than 23 minutes. We now
Yeah,
know that Steve Kerr is willing to not play Kevon Looney at all, and that's not to say Jackson Davis is always going to be in at center. They obviously have Draymond. I don't know if the other guy Dario Saric was in the rotation at all, but model is telling us Trace Jackson Davis, even his OF index 4,400 compared to the guys right below him, like this is a really good play, and this ownership might even seem a little bit light, especially he has power forward eligibility on FanDuel. Sign me up.
yeah, no, I like it. Yeah, you're paying a bit more on FanDuel for sure, but again, forward eligibility is massive.
We just got an update that Popovich said Victor Wembanyama will play Monday, uncertain for Tuesday, and so I feel like he wouldn't say that if he was going. Like, I don't know. Is it too much to assume Wemby's going to sit tomorrow, so he probably gets his full 28 minutes tonight?
I think we could project him for 28. I mean, he's been playing 30, so I'd be
Mm-hmm.
surprised if he didn't go over that.
Okay, nice. Not expected to have a minutes limit Monday, so this 3%. I mean, if he comes in at 3%, I'm gonna be ecstatic. Like what Nick was saying earlier about if I have 24% Kelly O, I'm 2x the field. Like if you have 12% Wemby on DraftKings and he comes in at 3%, you're 4x the field. That's awesome leverage. Like
Yeah,
uh, it's like not super necessary to play all the Wemby. Just getting any Wemby in your player pool, you have an advantage over the field.
yeah, I like
Does
it.
that? Oh, we got Eric in the chat. I wonder if that means Vassal is more or less likely to sit today.
Yeah, I thought he was in. I did see he's just suddenly a game time decision. Um, Man, that's weird. It's funny they beat them without Vassal or Wemby last game.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'd say it makes him a little bit less likely, especially because he was added to the injury report.
Yeah,
But yeah,
especially
I'm caught off guard. Honestly, I didn't think he'd be questionable.
yeah. They already ruled Wemby in, so it's like Vassal's a true game time decision. They said that they're going to test out his hip and then they'll figure it out. Is this guy reputable? Spurs. One of the Spurs beats said that he's considered probable. So I'm going to leave him in my player pool for now, and I can swap off if I have to of Vassal.
Yeah,
Let's see what we got here. If you're fading Grady Dick on FanDuel, who in the price range do you like besides Merrill? Let's take a look.
yeah.
Under
Uh,
5K. I mean, Sam Hauser, Niang's a little more expensive. KCP, who I hate. Um, Anything here?
yeah. So Grady's shooting guard, small forward eligible, right? Let me
Yes.
see. I'm just using the model over on my other monitor here. Fontecchio, I like a lot. You got to find a little bit more salary to get there. Bertans as well. These guys are small forwards, but those two are probably my favorite pivots. Like I said, a little bit more expensive. You can only play them at small forward, but I really do prefer both of them over Grady Dick. Other than that, yeah, KCP's tough, especially in a game that could blow out. I already talked about how I don't love Hauser, but I don't know. Yeah, it's those two at small forward. If you could just find the salary to get the Fontecchio and or Bertans in that early game, I think that's probably the best way to go.
I will say, like, according to the model, under 5,200, Hauser and KCP are the only guys with a better value score. Or is that true on FanDuel? Okay, only Sam
Um,
Hauser has a better value score on FanDuel than Agbaji, KCP, I guess Kamara, Fontecchio. And so I don't know, is like Grady Dick, first of all, he's projected for 33 minutes. I think he has potential. He obviously has potential to play more than that because we saw it in the previous game, but it's hard to project him for more than that. If he ends up getting 39 minutes, if we had him projected for 39, he'd be top of the model value. So that's something to consider. But is he going to outscore like KCP 7 out of 8 times or whatever the math is? 6 versus 42%? Probably not.
Probably
And
not.
so I don't mind getting away. Like I'd rather, well, I like a lot of the other value today. I don't mind fading Dick, and then I feel like I'd rather get away from the stud chalk and get to like a lesser owned Luca and whoever else up top than like Jason Tatum, for example.
Yeah, and that does make sense. And like I said, I mean, logically speaking, like Hauser and Grady Dick are going to project as the best value plays here.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like there aren't great direct pivots, like I said, but if you just move things around a bit, you can get to these really low owned forwards for just a little bit more money. But yeah, I don't love those guys as chalk.
Yep. And then we like DeRozan tonight with Luca. Yeah, I think we both think he's a great run back.
Absolutely. Banton's another one I'll add to that group of pivots. He's point guard,
Nice.
not shooting guard, but yeah, I think he's kind of sneaky too.
I like that too. Pay a little bit more. And then it's like also I wanted to mention like in the price range, you don't have to play someone in the price range. If you like pay up at that position when half the field is paying down for Dick, you have a little bit of a different lineup construction. Maybe you can play one less GPP shot and go slightly more chalky.
Yeah,
Fading the chalk is a form of leverage. So CP3 tonight, we mentioned him. We think he's okay. There's probably better plays at the position though. It's tough to fit him in.
yeah, he's good. It's just the sites did a good job repricing these Warriors.
All right. So first guy in the dummy today is it Freeman Liberty.
And Justice for All. Yep, get him in there.
Freeman Liberty. What a name, dude. I hope this guy makes it.
I wonder if he's related to Meta World Peace.
Oh, hilarious, dude. I saw that guy's name pop up or something, and I love that guy.
Yeah, man, legend Ron Artest.
You love the Charlotte Detroit game, first game. Which players are the priority right now?
I mean, it becomes a question of if we're getting to Luca or not. If not, it's definitely Cade. I really, really do like Cade. If we're getting Luca, it's kind of tough to fit both of them.
Let's get to Luca. Let's try it with Luca.
Yeah, so let's go Luca and then Jaden Ivey. Honestly, at 5,900, I
Nice.
think is really good. And then if we want a little bit of value here, I think Bertans at 4,900 feels kind of gross, but I'm gonna do it. I like Bertans off the bench at forward.
Let's try it. And Niang is basically the same price. So if you guys want to pivot there,
It's
Fontecchio same
probably
price
safer.
too.
Yeah,
Okoro, it's I get it though. They're the similar upside. They just hit a couple threes, man.
that's all it takes.
Cavs are starting. The players we expected. Levert is starting today. So did we expect Levert to start? Does that change anything for you?
Yeah, he did yesterday, or he did against Brooklyn. He was around a fantasy point per minute, and that game did blow out, so he was capped around 28. So he's good, but like I said, I mean, for him to win you a tournament, you need him to go like 40 plus. But I think in like low risk stuff, he's very, very logical.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is Okoro starting too?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I don't know. I think point per dollar, you could get more in a tournament out of Diego or Okoro, as insane as that sounds. Levert definitely the highest ceiling from that group, but I wouldn't mind going with one of the other guys on the
Do,
wing.
do we want to throw a Caro in here? We have Grady Dick at 4,600.
Let's go Okoro. It's weird. I mean, I know most of the industry hates this guy, but I don't know why
I
I'm
like
such a
him.
sucker for him. Yeah, he plays a ton of minutes and
Yeah.
he does a lot, so I'd get Okoro.
Levert or B Miller.
B
I mean,
Miller.
Levert's the chalk. B Miller's the pivot. So it's just if
Yeah.
you need a chalky guy, probably just go Levert. If
Yeah,
you really
Levert's
want,
safe, but
yeah,
yeah, like I said, I mean, I like Levert, and this is almost the same exact situation as Chris Paul. It's just they're priced for the situation. Like Levert's priced now to have Mobley and Mitchell out. Like Paul's priced to have Curry out. So like you're not getting these super beneficial spots from these guys that you would if they were ruled out last minute or something like that. Both sides did a really good job kind of adjusting the prices for these situations, other than Jackson Davis for the Warriors. But yeah. So they're good plays. It's just they're not great plays like the ownership might suggest on something like Levert.
I want to switch the positions around here because I think that the guard positions are pretty valuable.
Oh
So,
yeah,
I mean, you guys can. I don't know if I'll have time even to do all this. Probably shouldn't have done that, but
it's all good.
because I was thinking like if we want to fit in Banton or even Peyton Pritchard, we can do that pretty easily, even with Freeman Liberty and Luca in our lineup here. So,
Yeah, they're in the late game, so we could get either in utility too and feel pretty good about it.
do we want to? All right, I want to throw someone in that price range just to see what that leaves because I think we can get another stud still. I forget who I had in these other spots here. My bad.
You're
Shooting
good.
guard. Who did we have? Okoro.
We had Bertans at one point at
Yeah, we had
forward.
Bertans. We can throw
Jaden
Bertans at
Ivey, I
forward.
mentioned I
Jaden
liked.
Ivey. There you go. Thank you. Jaden Ivey at small forward, and then I want to throw in. I mean, we still is Pritchard a shooting guard? Probably not. No, Freeman Liberty's a shooting guard though. So whatever. Let's see what we can find here, and then Ivy. Oh, I thought Ivy was a small forward. I guess not. Point guard, shooting guard. So we can
Yep.
fit one more stud. I mean, we mentioned Miles Bridges. That was the guy who I was thinking about just now. Or do we want to try and pay up for one of these centers, Allen Vooch, maybe even Wemby?
I mean, I really like Jackson Davis's value, so if you want to go Bridges, I'm pretty comfortable with that.
Let's
Could
do
you?
Jackson Davis at
Yeah, and you
4,400.
could even upgrade. I don't know how much salary we have left, but if we do, we could even upgrade
10,000.
Pritchard to Derek White. Yeah, I mean, we got plenty of salary left here.
Yeah, salary is not going to be. We can comfortably play Luca with another stud. Who am I putting in here? Derek White, and then small forward leaves us 7,300, which is Brad Miller music. Karis
Perfect.
LeVert a little bit
Miller.
more. Maybe
I like
swap
Miller.
out Bertans, do something. So a lot of ways we can go today. And then obviously you take out Luca. I mean, you can just fit two $10,000 guys, and it seems pretty good.
I like it, man. That's solid. And like I said, I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say Grady Dick and Sam Hauser are terrible plays. It's just the way I play. When guys like that are super chalky and I could find different ways to build my lineups tonight, I'm very comfortable doing so. So if you're playing cash games, like feel free to play these guys. I don't mean to completely crap all over them. Like they look great in the model for a reason, but they're also probably overowned. So yeah, just game theory.
I meant to mention, Asar Thompson got ruled out a couple minutes ago. Fontecchio is starting at the small forward position tonight, so I
Love
think
it.
he gets a boost, and he should come in slightly lower owned since we got the news so late. So, and
Love
then
that.
this is, oh no, we don't have to worry. What team is Rashawn Holmes on? Oh, this is tomorrow. Never mind. We'll talk about Rashawn Holmes tomorrow. Because I was like,
Okay.
is he still in Dallas? Why is he popping up? But Booker, Luca, and Ivy pay ups and play the rest of value sound good. Yeah, if Booker's your point of leverage, that seems great to me. I don't have a problem with that.
I like it.
I will say if you're missing out on like the other chalk guards, like you're gonna have a different lineup construction. So just keep that in mind if you're skipping the other chalk guards like Freeman Liberty. But any final words, Nick?
No, man, I think we did a good job covering everything today. Yeah, guys, good luck tonight, and let's see some screenshots.
Yeah, let's do it. Good luck, guys. Thanks.